Hey guys! This is part 5 to building a miniature townhouse. Here's the miniature townhouse I'll be building. Today, I'm making and adding wooden shutters and glass window shutters with brass hinges. We'll need pruning shears, utility knife, ruler, pencil, paintbrush, paint, and popsicle sticks. Take larger popsicle sticks and draw a vertical line along its length. Then cut in half with the utility knife. Cut ends of the cut popsicle pieces off as shown. I'm using 3 pieces of the cut popsicle sticks per shutter. I'm using the smaller popsicle sticks as a batten to hold the 3 longer pieces of popsicle sticks in place. Cut smaller popsicle sticks the size as demonstrated. I glued the batten into place with hot glue. Then I paint the shutters with white acrylic paint on both sides. Here's what the house looks like without shutters. Two wooden shutters per window, I made 24 shutters in total for the windows on the sides of the house. Now, attach the wooden shutters to the windows with hot glue. Measure for a height of 5 inches for the glass shutters for the windows in the front of the house. To make the glass shutter frame, You'll need pencil, pruning shears, utility knife, ruler, paint brushes, paint. I'm using white acrylic paint, water, hot glue, and popsicle sticks. 2 different sizes, large and regular sized. You will also need clear plastic for the glass windows. I'm using a clear art package plastic. First, measure the larger popsicle stick to a height of 5 inches. Then, cut popsicle stick to size with pruning shears. Repeat for the amount of popsicle sticks needed. I found I needed 2 large popsicle sticks cut in half horizontally or lengthwise per shutter frame. Next, draw a line horizontally down the large popsicle stick and cut in half with utility knife. You'll need 2 large popsicle sticks measured 5 inches in height. Next, I use the regular size popsicle sticks. For the side of the window facing the interior of the house, I measure 3 pieces at a measurement of 2 1/4 inches in length. They will act as a batten for the glass shutter frame. I then measure the clear art package plastic to a measurement of 5 inches in length by 2 1/2 inches in width. You'll need 1 sheet per shutter. You can adjust the size as you place in frame. Cut with scissors. Once you glue the clear art package plastic with hot glue onto the first set of large popsicle sticks as shown, layer on the second set of popsicle sticks with hot glue onto the first as shown. Now, cut 3 pieces of regular popsicle sticks to a measurement of 2 1/4 inches in length. Then, glue the sticks being used as a batten into place. Place on the top, middle, and bottom of the glass shutter frame to hold frame in place as demonstrated. For the side of the window facing the exterior, we also use 3 pieces of the regular popsicle sticks as batten. However, the measurements differ. Measure for 1 1/2 inches. These 3 pieces will be cushioned into the frame as shown. Here is how the glass shutters are to be placed in the window. You might need to make some slight adjustments for the perfect fit. Now, let's add the fully functioning brass hinges. This is how the final hinge will look when attached. Brass tubes can be found at a craft store. I found the brass tubes used here at Hobby Lobby. To make the aluminum tubes, I simply drew the measurements with pencil onto a piece of the Coca-Cola can. Then I cut with scissors. Be careful, however, you can get a nasty cut doing this. Then I rolled into a small tube by using a small screwdriver head and a needle nose pliers, and glued in place with crazy glue. To cut the brass tube, you can use a jeweler's saw with brass tube secured in a clamp-on table vise, which I used for this project. I'll demonstrate. You can also use a Dremel tool that comes with a metal cutter attachment that cuts the work to a fraction of the time. You will also need the clamp-on table vise to secure the brass tube when cutting. Next, cut out a piece of aluminum wire measuring 1 inch in length. To fashion the hinge, you will need to first bend the piece of wire to a 45-degree angle, using either your hands or a needle nose pliers. Then, at the midway point to each side, bend to a 45-degree angle again, creating a triangular shape. Adjust accordingly to fit both ends of the wire into the 1/4 inch piece of brass tube using a needle nose pliers. You might need 2 needle nose pliers for the project, depending on the thickness and pliability of your aluminum wire. You'll need a piece of aluminum to make 1/4 inch half circles to complete the brass hinge. I demonstrate cutting half circles for the 1/4 inch square of aluminum you'll need per hinge. Using the brass hinge as your guide, cut the shape with scissors. I experimented with liquid nails to attach the brass hinge and aluminum piece to the glass shutters, but found that although bonded, it lacked the strength to hold up under constant opening and closing of the windows. First, I glued the half circle piece of aluminum to the wood on the glass shutter, one at the top, leaving about 3/16 of an inch headspace. Then I did the same on the bottom. Once dried, I then attached the aluminum wire part of the hinge only to the half circle aluminum and placed on the glass shutter. Make sure you leave at least 1/16 to 2/16 of an inch space in between the attached wire and the brass tube as shown. After it dries, I then add paint to the shutters. I chose white acrylic paint to highlight the orange color I chose for the house. Paint shutters on both sides. The little wooden shutters alongside the glass shutters are shutters for the gable windows. I already demonstrated the making and placement of those in part 2 to this tutorial. I used hot glue to attach the brass tube part of the hinge to the window frame. I also added some to the aluminum wire to reinforce its connection to the shutters. Remember, I said the liquid nails did not bond well. Make sure not to get any glue inside the openings of the brass tube because the hinge will need to swing open. Here, I demonstrate the functionality of the glass shutters. To give the hot glue a look of giant antiquated brass hinge, I simply used a metallic ball paint to paint directly over the hot glue. Once dried, it looked like antiquated brass hinges, and the paint holds. Now, let's age the shutters a bit in order for the shutters to match the aged appearance of the townhouse. I used plain old brown paint, watered down for a translucent color for application to all the shutter frames. I applied the paint sparingly, highlighting only the areas I thought would weather the most on an old shutter. Use a piece of tissue to wipe off any excess. It shouldn't be too dark. And we're done! Part 5 is complete. Join me next time for part 6, which consists of making the house floor, porches, and doors. Thanks for watching!